Earlier this week, the government said traders had reported a significant increase in sales in the 2 weeks since the treaty's implementation. But the GFSB's Flash survey over a 7-hour period appears to tell a different story. There were 114 responses in all, with 76% of those from the retail sector, with the rest made up from the hospitality, wholesale, import, tourism and other sectors. Asked how their overall level of business activity, sales including euro-denominated trade, had changed since the 15th of July, close to half of respondents reported no noticeable change. Among those who did see a shift, declines outweighed increases by a large margin. On a year-on-year basis, just over half of respondents described July 2026 trading as about the same as July 2025. Where a difference was reported, it leaned towards the negative. There was some good news as regards the number of customers from outside Gibraltar, although more than half said there was no noticeable change, but among those who did see a shift, increases were more common than decreases. In its recent press release, the government said euro-denominated sales had substantially increased, but according to the survey, 67.5% of respondents saw no noticeable change. The question about receiving stock or supplies produced the most one-sided result in the survey. A substantial majority, 67.5% of respondents, said this had become much more difficult since the 15th of July, and 76.3% said they had experienced customs, freight or border-related issues frequently or occasionally. Asked to describe the overall impact of the new arrangements on their business so far, those who responded to the survey were markedly negative. 66.7% said their experience had been somewhat negative and very negative, compared to 7% who said it had been somewhat positive and very positive. 8.8% said it was too early to say. Looking ahead, nearly half respondents, 48.2%, said the first 2 weeks had left them feeling less optimistic about the treaty over the next 3 months, compared to 12.2% who felt more optimistic. 14% said it was too early to say. There were 49 substantive comments made. The most frequently raised issue was the new transaction tax, described by several as a direct hit to cash flow and margins. Respondents called for a functioning VAT transaction tax refund mechanism. There were comments about the difficulty in receiving stock, delays and new documentation. Rising costs was also a concern, as respondents said this could result in increased prices, potentially pushing local customers to shop outside Gibraltar. A small number of comments, mostly from hospitality, tourism and retail businesses, reported a strong month, increased tourist footfall and euro takings. Finally, there were calls for greater clarity and better guidance, with some citing unclear or inconsistent government communication, gaps in guidance notes and confusion over export procedures to the EU. The Federation considered that the results showed a very high level of engagement with the issues touched on. No members in the freight, logistics or transport sectors responded to the survey at the time the report was drawn up.